13 WMAZ News at 5 starts now.
This is 13 WMAZ Eyewitness News at 5.
I'm so excited. This is crazy. This is awesome.
It's unbelievable. First off, to not have class is just awesome. And then to be able to just come out here and just play in the snow where our football players practice and play and do everything, and it's just awesome.
Two Mercer students, just two of many, enjoying a snow day filled with sledding down Coleman Hill.
To grant me 5 minutes in a locked room with this demon.
I have
Would
a
you
feeling.
do that?
That is not how
Yes or
our.
no?
No, sir, I can't.
Would you
do
give me
that.
1 minute?
You know that I can't do that. That's not how our legal system.
Well, I'm going to have to.
An emotional father whose 3 daughters were allegedly sexually abused as children by former USA gymnastics Dr. Larry Nassar tried to attack him during a sentencing hearing this morning.
This is 13 WMAZ Eyewitness News at 5.
This is our home. And this, not only does my heart hurt for the families and the people that have been affected by this string of senseless, tragic events, but it angers me that our citizens' safety and security is threatened.
An emotional Warner Robins Mayor Randy Toms condemning a recent string of homicides in the international city.
This is 13 WMAZ Eyewitness News at 5.
If we can just remember Parker, and as he would want us to remember him, and not focus on what happened, but focus on his life and carrying forward the love that he shared with everybody that he met.
The grandmother of Parker Moore, the Barbaritos worker killed when that Warner Robins restaurant was robbed in January, remembers the joy her grandson had in his life.
13 WMAZ News at 5 starts now.
Optimism is growing in this community. People come back and see what has happened in the last 5 years, and they are absolutely amazed at what is going on in this community.
After announcing his plan to make up for an estimated $10 million deficit, Macon Bibb County Mayor Robert Rickard says he's optimistic about the county's future.
Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Lori Johnson. Frank Malloy has the night off. The snow may be past us, but some frigid temperatures are settling in. For the latest look, we toss it over to Chief Meteorologist Ben Jones in the Weather Center with the latest.
Well, I tell you what, cold stuff's still out there, but it wasn't cold enough to hold all the snow around. Snow has made its way on up the mid-Atlantic coast. On the way, we'll show you the weekend. Warmer weather is coming up.
Oh, we like the sound of that. Thanks a lot, Ben. We'll see you soon.
All right.
Well, the weather has some school leaders canceling classes for a second day in a row. Schools closed for tomorrow include Georgia College, Bibb County Schools, Monroe County Schools, along with Georgia Military College in Milledgeville and GMC Prep. Central Fellowship Christian Academy and St. Andrew's Montessori School in Macon, along with First Presbyterian Day School, will also be closed. We will continue to update this list on air and online at 13WMAZ.com. And throughout the day, we've had team coverage on the snowfall throughout central Georgia. Our team continues to update traffic conditions in our area, reminding you to keep safety first on the roads. We'll continue sharing updates on the weather conditions county by county. And those icy conditions caused a deadly wreck this morning on I-75 in Bibb County. The sheriff's office says 2 people died after a car hit them just north of Hartley Bridge Road. The sheriff's office says 48-year-old Ton Nguyen and 63-year-old Tuan Nguyen's Honda Accord was pulled over on the side of the expressway. Ton was outside of his car when a Ford Mustang went over a patch of ice and hit a guardrail and hit Ton and the Honda. Both the driver of the Honda and the passenger died at the scene. The driver of the Mustang was not hurt. Well, since the early morning snowfall, local authorities have reported dozens of accidents connected to the weather. Yvonne Thomas is live in the newsroom with travel updates from local EMA directors and the Department of Transportation.
Lori, that's right. There are still several slick spots in our region right now, but the Georgia Department of Transportation and local EMA directors are asking you not to let your guard down just yet. Let's take a look at the traffic and what it's looking like right now on our local DOT cameras. Now, right now, earlier this morning, traffic was crawling for hours on I-75 North near Hartley Bridge Road, but now traffic is moving pretty smoothly here. Also in Bibb County, Sergeant Sean Defoe with the Bibb County Sheriff's Office says that major roads and interstates are now clear, but it's the back roads in rural areas that could be a little spotty. EMA Director Spencer Hawkins says right now it's best to just stay off the roads. And in Monroe County, one road to avoid is State Route 42. That's between Forsyth city limits and Murray Road. EMA says that route is a solid sheet of ice. Now, earlier today, EMA Director Don Graham says the 400 block of Highway 49 in Jones County was also a problem area. Also, there was a minor accident on Highway 129 North towards Eatonton. Thankfully, no one was seriously injured. Now, EMA directors in Peach County, Crawford County, and Houston County say that those roads are clear. For now, back to you.
Okay, that sounds good. Thanks a lot, Yvonne. Now, another trouble spot was Route 18 west in Jones County, where a tractor trailer spun out on an icy patch this afternoon and blocked the highway for about 3 hours. Jones County Lieutenant Kenny Gleaton says they've seen about a dozen accidents in the county, but so far, no injuries. Well, Wanye Reese continues our team coverage. He shows how Macon-Bibb County emergency management crews continue to clear roads and treat slick spots.
That's right. Macon-Bibb officials have been on the road since 6 a.m. this morning, making sure the roads are safe for you to drive on. Marvin Land, the director of operations for Macon-Bibb County Emergency Management, told me they have been treating the roads with 98 tons of salt stored in this salt barn. He said they are still in the process of treating some slick roads.
We've gotten to all the bridges and treated them. We are answering to some complaints on some icing problems, and mainly at this time in the shaded areas where the sun hadn't been able to hit.
And Marvin continued to tell me that they will be treating the roads for slick spots this evening into tomorrow. In Macon-Bibb, Wanye Reese, 13 WMAZ Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Wanye. And our team coverage of Georgia's winter weather continues with some safety tips you might not be expecting. We join Zach Merchant now live at Coliseum Northside Hospital. Zach.
Well, the snow has passed through our area, but its effects are still lingering. As you've just heard how important it is to be careful, be cautious when you're behind the wheel on the roads. It's also important to be careful when you're out just walking around. According to Jennifer Jones, one of the spokespeople at Coliseum Health Center, she said that emergency rooms had admitted 5 people with injuries from slips and falls on slick walkways. Megan Allen, the spokesperson at Medical Center Navison Health, says they've treated 2 so far, but Allen says there are ways to reduce your risk of falling. Pay attention to the path in front of you. Texting and walking is a bad idea today. Use handrails if they're available, and wear shoes with good traction. Taking these steps can help prevent potentially dangerous falls that, according to Coliseum Northside Hospital Emergency Room Director Michael Dykes, they can be especially dangerous for senior citizens.
Kids seem to bounce back very quickly versus the elderly. You know, some of them are immunocompromised and just their own medications that may delay healing and things like that.
And Dyke says that those kids do tend to bounce back quicker, but that doesn't mean it's a reason for parents not to keep an eye on them. When the young ones have a snow day like this, it's natural for them to want to go outside, play, enjoy the weather, but doing so leads them to have an increased risk for taking a tumble while they do it. So if you're a parent, let them go out, let them have fun, but keep an eye on them too. Live in Macon, Zach Merchant, 13 WMAZ Eyewitness News.
Good advice. Thank you, Zach. Another thing parents need to watch out for with their children, hypothermia. Dr. Dykes says to make sure they're bundled up appropriately before they head outside. Well, lots of people were scrambling to cope with the ice and snow overnight. In fact, one Houston County hardware store ran out of ice melt this morning. Jacob Reynolds continues our team coverage. He joins us live from Houston County with an update on what stores say customers are requesting the most.
Well, Lori, this morning, this sign was covered in snow and surrounded here. It has since melted, but that didn't stop customers from flooding local hardware stores to get equipment for this storm. Now, the Ace Hardware just down the road here on Watson says they ran out of hundreds of pounds of ice melt this morning. Chuck's Gun and Pawn Shop says they had a lot of requests for cold weather clothing. They've sold 500 hand warmers this month, along with about 50 to 60 knit caps to keep people's heads warm this week. And at the Houston Hardware and Garden Center in Bon Air, they said they're selling a lot more propane than usual this week. Owner Tom Williams says staying in good spirits in spite of the cold.
There's one thing we ain't sold is no skis, because we've just run out. But now we sell a lot of the faucet covers, you know, for outside faucets. We got a couple of different types.
Now, Williams wasn't kidding. So far this week, they've sold about 200 of those faucet covers, along with insulation for pipes and firewood. Live in Houston County, Jacob Reynolds, 13 WMAZ Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Jacob. Williams says they're averaging selling 400 gallons of propane a day this week. Normally, they average about 100 gallons a day. The Salvation Army is working to keep homeless people warm as the temperatures start to fall tonight. Mary Grace Shaw is at one of the warming shelters. She joins us now live. Mary Grace.
Lori, dozens of people are inside of this shelter back behind me here, just looking for a place to stay warm. The Salvation Army is asking for anyone looking for a place to stay to come to this location of the Salvation Army off of Broadway first. And if this location becomes full, they'll take people from here to additional locations. Right now, they say that this location is full and it sleeps 20 people. In Macon, Mary Grace Shaw, 13 WMAZ Eyewitness News. Lori.
Thank you, Mary Grace. The Salvation Army says they will keep the shelters open tomorrow. From there, they'll look at the weather to determine whether or not to continue to keep them open. Throughout the day, many of you have shown us you and your family and friends, even some of your pets enjoying the snow. So let's take a look at a few pictures. First, this is video sent in to us by Jessica Tribble, which shows her husband in a T-Rex costume chasing the kids around. I love it. This is happening in Jones County. And then we have this picture from Stephanie, which shows her son sending love to his dad, who had to work today. And finally, Kaylee Rogers posted this picture of Charlie, the golden retriever, who just loved sitting outside and watching the snowflakes. We want to see your pictures. Just look for any of our snow posts on our Facebook page. And remember, you can stay weather aware anywhere you go. Just download the 13WMAZ app. You can find it in the App Store on your smartphone or tablet. After downloading, make sure you turn on the notifications by going to Settings. Then you're all set. We'll let you know about severe weather conditions as well as breaking news events in and around your area. And we'll be back with a look at the winter weather's effects on crops when Eyewitness News at 5 continues.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Frank Malloy.
And I'm Lori Johnson. We'll have more on the passing of Mrs. Bush in just a moment. This just into the 13 WMAZ newsroom. The GBI's investigation at Fort Valley State University involves allegations of, quote, sexual misconduct against an employee connected to the school's Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority chapter. That's according to a statement from the sorority.
Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated released a statement to our station in Atlanta that said, in part, quote, we were appalled to learn of allegations of sexual misconduct against a Fort Valley State University employee who also is a graduate member of the sorority.
The sorority says they are fully cooperating with authorities and has a zero-tolerance policy for hazing, sexual misconduct, and harassment. Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority and the GBI have not commented further on the allegations.
On Monday, we reported the GBI was looking into alleged misconduct at the university and that they were interviewing between 20 and 30 people. The university has declined comment except to say one employee is on administrative leave while the investigation continues. And we have new information in the case of Aubrey Carroll, the Jones County teenager who had been missing since 2016.
A release from the Spalding County Sheriff's Office said Carroll was living under an alias and had been traveling with a group of people in the Midwest and on the West Coast. They said since Carroll is now 17, they could not make him come home, but they did convince him to make contact with his mother and to meet with police. According to the release, Carroll was safe and healthy, and he and his mom want to send the message to not to give up hope if your loved one is missing, because miracles can happen. Former First Lady Barbara Bush is being remembered for her devotion to family and country.
Both the wife and mother of former presidents, Mrs. Bush, died at her home in Houston last night. Weisha Zhang is there.
Flags are at half-staff from the White House to the Capitol, where senators on both sides of the aisle paid tribute to Barbara Bush.
She always combined wit with warmth, smarts with common sense, and great toughness with greater compassion.
Mrs. Bush was the personification of grace and class as First Lady and as a human being.
The 92-year-old Mrs. Bush died last night in Houston. Her husband, former President George H.W. Bush, was at her side, holding her hand all day. In a statement, he said, "The outpouring of love and friendship being directed at the enforcer is lifting us all up." Their son, George W. Bush, said he was lucky to have her for a mother. And the younger Jeb Bush spoke about the loss at a leadership forum in Chicago.
I'm so blessed to be her son. She taught us to serve others. She taught us to be civil. She taught us to love your family with your heart and soul.
Mrs. Bush dedicated her life to public service, focusing on literacy. This plaza at the Houston Public Library is named in her honor, and now the site of a growing memorial.
People should know that she was a champion for literacy, that she was a champion for our children, and she was a champion for our families.
Mrs. Bush's funeral is scheduled for Saturday at the family's church. Bill and Hillary Clinton plan to attend, as well as Barack and Michelle Obama. Current First Lady Melania Trump has said she will be there too to pay her respects.
There will also be a visitation on Friday for Mrs. Bush.
It'll take place at the family's church in Houston from noon until midnight.
One Central Georgia man has a special connection to Barbara Bush and the Bush family. Clay Murphy was in the Army at the time and ensured that the then Vice President Bush was able to communicate by telephone.
For 3 years, Murphy traveled the world setting up secure lines for the Vice President to handle his duties over. Wherever Bush went, Murphy went too, from official business to family time at their beach house in Kennebunkport. One of his favorite memories involved the former First Lady when they were wiring a boat for the Secret Service to use.
This little lady comes out. She can barely see over the side of the boat, asking us what we're doing because the boat was still on a trailer. And she said, "What are we doing?" And we told her what we're doing. And she said, "Where'd the boat come from?" And we said, "The DEA." And her comment, just flat as she could be, "Well, George isn't going to like that. I'm going to have to go talk to him." He wasn't happy because the Secret Service boat was bigger than theirs.
Now, Murphy says when at Kennebunkport, Maine, the Bushes would cook for the entire staff on Wednesdays.
The Bibb County Industrial Authority says they have made changes to the spending process in order to prevent the misuse of their money.
This comes after an audit revealed the authority spent $2 million on projects that never happened. Mary Grace Shaw has more on these changes, and she joins us now live in studio. Mary Grace.
Frank and Lori, that $2 million of improper billing all came from companies owned by people connected to former Chairman Clifford Whidbey. Whidbey resigned last August after being indicted on federal fraud and bribery charges connected to the Bibb County School District. The Industrial Authority's chairman, Robert Fountain, says after everything happened with Whidbey, they decided to have a forensic audit done, which discovered this erroneous billing. The authority's director, Stephen Adams, said they put into place a system that prevents them from making duplicate checks, but he says they've also required that several people look at checks before they get approved.
Invoices are coming in and are dated by our administrative assistant who is collecting our mail. Invoices are then approved by the relative party who has been overseeing that work, whether it be the project manager or our engineer or even our legal counsel or myself.
From there, he says the check will go to the board chair and acting director. Frank and Lori, back to you.
Mary Grace, thanks very much. Adams also said the contractors involved in the situation have until the end of the month to respond to the county so that they can work on getting reimbursed.
The Lawrence County School Board approved a policy allowing trained staff members to carry guns in school. In today's 13 WMAZ poll, we want to know, are you comfortable with school employees being armed? You can tell us yes, no, or if they are trained properly. Go to 13WMAZ.com/vote or open the 13WMAZ app. Wanye Reese spent the day talking to parents and the school board. He joins us now live with more details on the policy and how folks feel about it.
Lori, parents that I spoke to today, they have mixed reactions about trained employees being armed with guns at Lawrence County schools. Now, I did get a chance to speak with the school superintendent, Dan Brigman, and he told me that safety is their #1 priority, and they want to make sure that students and staff are feeling safe at all times. Now, according to Brigman, this did pass unanimously last Thursday. It was approved by all of the board members, and they're trying to get this program started as soon as possible. According to the policy, trained employees will have to undergo a background check, psychiatric evaluation, and get training on how to use the gun. Brigman would not tell us where the guns would be kept in the school, nor what kind of gun would be carried. He said the element of surprise will be key with this new policy to keep intruders on their toes. I spoke to a couple of parents today, and this is what they had to say.
I don't know, my mom's a teacher in Lawrence County as well as my husband, and I guess I could see the good in it. I do believe that all the bad things that happen everywhere else could happen here.
The metal detectors, or it's just got to be I just think it's a better way other than arming the teachers. Like I said, that's just my opinions. I have grandkids and even other kids. I'm just concerned about kids in general.
Now, Brigman told me that they are working very closely with the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office to make sure that this program is started safely. In Lawrence County, Wanye Reese, 13 WMAZ.
Thank you, Wanye. According to the policy, Lawrence County says it will make sure all guns carried on campus are in accordance with state law. And we'll have the results of the 13 WMAZ poll coming up at 6.
What a day, man. It's awesome out there. Whenever you get in the 80s and you got that little breeze out of the southwest, you kind of want to duplicate that. Well, so we'll show you the change with the front, and then we'll show you what's going on with the Sunday rain chance on the way. Now, you may not think this is true with the rain we've seen lately, but we're actually at an elevated level of fire danger. Joining us live at the Piedmont Natural Wildlife Refuge is our man, Hunter Williams. Hunter.
Well, Ben, as you mentioned, it's a very breezy, very warm afternoon, and a lot of people, you might not think about this, but when you have high winds, you have low levels of moisture in the atmosphere, low humidity, we do have a fire danger. I'm here at the Georgia Forestry Commission office in Jones County, and this sign, I think, tells the tale. Fire danger today in the moderate category. And you may be thinking, I know we just had rain a few days ago, but when you have these breezy conditions and the low humidity like this, you need to be on the lookout. In fact, we have a map that shows you the dew points all across central Georgia, and you can see that pretty much they are all in the 40s. And keep in mind, we have our temperatures well up into the 80s, so that's fairly low levels of relative humidity, and you get conditions like that in tandem with the very breezy conditions we have right now, especially this wind out of the southwest, 10 to 20 miles per hour, gusting above that. So fire danger is something that we keep in mind through the rest of the day today. We'll be talking more about that coming up at 6 o'clock. For now, Ben, back to you.
Yeah, especially there in Eastman with the rogue dew point of 19 degrees right there. Kind of odd. All right, so yeah, dry weather, guys, but as we know, because it's Sunday, that will change with a rain chance coming up. We'll show you the latest timing. That's on the way.
Always on Sunday. All right, thanks, Ben. We'll talk again in a few minutes.
Okay.
Coming up next on 13 WMAZ News at 5, one of Georgia's best teacher, of course, comes from right here in Central Georgia. Why students think Ike Thompson should bring home the award. Next.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Frank Malloy.
And I'm Lori Johnson. New at 5, a teenager dead, and his brother fighting for his life after a wreck this afternoon.
Justin McDuffie joins us live from the scene with more on what investigators think happened.
247 is a road that many of us travel every single day, but right now a small section of the southbound lanes heading to Houston County are closed. That's because of the wreck that you can see behind me. Now, according to Coroner Lonnie Miley, 19-year-old Joshua Jones and his 21-year-old brother Jaquez Jones were heading to a funeral down here in Houston County, and that's when they were clipped by another car. Now, their father was in the car ahead of them and watched them flip over. Now, as you can see behind me, the crews are still here on the scene here on 247, and they're still cleaning things up, and the lanes are still closed. Frank and Lori, back to you.
Thank you so much, Justin.
That accident remains under investigation. Also tonight, The national championship for college football takes place at Mercedes-Benz Stadium and involves the Georgia Bulldogs and the Alabama Crimson Tide. And thus far, it has been an unbelievable season so far for Georgia.
So true. The Dogs raced out to a 9-0 start before losing to the Auburn Tigers in November. But Georgia rebounded, winning its final 2 games of the regular season over Kentucky and Georgia Tech before getting revenge and beating Auburn in the SEC championship.
Then came the Rose Bowl, where the Dogs stepped up and topped Oklahoma in double overtime, a classic to advance to tonight's national championship game. And that brings us to tonight's big game. A whole lot of activity going on. Dogs fans are packing the parking lots around Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and even President Trump will be at tonight's game.
But what matters most is the matchup on the field. And live at the Benz with more on that is marvelous Marvin James. Hey, Marv.
Good, marvelous Monday, sports fans. Yes, I am live at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, home of the Atlanta Falcons. But tonight it's all about hashtag CFP college football, the national championship between the University of Georgia and the University of Alabama. Now, let's take a look around the Benz, if you would. My man, Jonathan Perez, working his magic behind the camera. Now, like you guys just mentioned, we were just here about a month ago with the University of Georgia taking on Auburn for the SEC championship, and we all know how that turned out. The Bulldogs won that game. They went on to the Rose Bowl and won that in double overtime thriller, and then they punched their ticket here. And Alabama punched their ticket by winning over Clemson in the Sugar Bowl, and that is what's going down tonight with kickoff at 8 o'clock. Now, at the top of the hour, about 5 o'clock, it looks like Mercedes-Benz Stadium just opening the gates for allowing the fans to come in so they can come in there and get their seats. Non-traditional weather outside for tailgating, but this is the South. It just means more. Of course, they were tailgating out there since about 11 or 12 o'clock. Now, make sure you join us on 13WMAZ.com and our social media sites for more. We'll be live tweeting during the game. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks a lot, Marv. Exciting time. And plenty of fans, as Marvin said, are already outside the Benz and cannot wait for kickoff.
Chelsea Beinfor is live outside the stadium with a look at the tailgating scene.
Frank and Lori, it's a great day to be a dog, even though it's cold and rainy. We got some fans. Look at this. We got the UGA Arch. Oh, man, get it together, everybody. Okay, we're going to take a walk this way into a very large tailgate back here. I think we got a couple of UGA fans, everybody.
It's a U machine in red and black. It's a U machine in red and black. Ain't nothing finer in the land. Ain't nothing finer in the land. And a mean machine, Georgia fans. Georgia fans. Go, 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 go.
All right, check it out. Well, earlier today, we even got in on some of the fandom at the World Congress Center. The dogs and the cheerleaders, the band, they were all there. We also got to talk to a couple fans. Here's what they said. Roll that sound.
It's exhilarating. I am so excited. I have been on edge for days. Since January 1st, actually, I have been waiting for this moment. I'm so thrilled, so excited, so proud to be a Georgia Bulldog.
I'm very excited. I love it. I love this game. I love everything about football.
120-0.
120-0. What do you think?
It's going to be 21-31. Georgia's going to win.
All right, well, hopefully that's not the score, but kickoff is just under 3 hours. I'll be out here with the fans. Back to you guys.
I don't know. They seem a little excited. What do you think?
I think the atmosphere is, shall we say, lit. Kickoff is set for a little after 8 tonight. The game is being televised on ESPN.
Well, don't feel too bad if you didn't get a ticket to the game. As you can see in Chelsea's live shot, the weather not necessarily ideal up in Atlanta a bit later in the show. Frank and Lori, back over to you.
We will welcome the 60s with open arms. Thanks a lot, Hunter. Well, throughout the day, many Tide and Dog fans hit the road driving to Atlanta for tonight's game. Now, we have a look at 285 near SunTrust Park in Cobb County. Traffic, as you can see, it's kind of moving slowly there. Doesn't look like any major slowdowns. A lot of folks have already arrived in Atlanta for a lot of downtown activities. days.
If you've waited and are getting ready to head up to Atlanta, you need to get going because traffic's going to pick up. And don't forget, once the president arrives, they have to shut all the roads down. So hopefully you're already on your way or already there.
Dog fans fired up, sending us pictures proudly sporting their UGA gear. Let's take a look at a few.
First, we have the team Rural Carriers and Warner Robins supporting their hometown boy Jake Fromm and the dogs.
After that, we have the South Dodge Elementary lunchroom staff all decked out in red and black.
The wrecking crew from Robins Air Force Base ready for the dogs to be the #1 team in the land.
Then we have the... Oh, my goodness! This is little Emily, and this is sent to us by her uncle Jeremiah Long, and she is definitely ready for kickoff. Look at those thighs.
And then we have a future dog. Jennifer Doherty Brown posted this picture of her son Brendan, who looks ready to take the field in Atlanta, looking fierce.
I love it. And throughout the night, we want to see how you're watching the national championship.
Post pictures and videos to our Facebook page using a public post, and you just may see those pictures on air. And tonight, we'll have continuous coverage of the national championship. Our Erica Bowdry will be live on Facebook around 5:30, talking with fans who are tailgating about their expectations for the matchup.
And then at 7 o'clock, Marv will be live on Facebook for a pregame chat answering your questions about the national championship. You can watch both of those on our Facebook page after posting how you're cheering on the dogs. Coming up next on Eyewitness News at 5.
A man died after he was hit by a car in South Macon this morning. Now, this is a continuation of a trend in that particular area when Eyewitness News at 5 continues.
This is our home. And this, not only does my heart hurt for the families and the people that have been affected by this string of senseless, tragic events, but it angers me that our citizens' safety and security is threatened.
An emotional Warner Robins Mayor Randy Toms condemning a recent string of homicides in the international city. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Frank Malloy.
And I'm Lori Johnson. Our top story at 5. 3 homicides in 10 days, all in Warner Robins.
During a news conference today, Police Chief Brett Evans called the killings, quote, usually significant, something that just doesn't happen in Warner Robins. The latest happened Sunday night at the Barbaritos on Watson Boulevard. Somebody shot and killed 23-year-old Parker Moore of Kathleen and shot another employee in the head. That person remains hospitalized.
The first 2 homicides happened within hours of each other on Alberta Road on January 13th. This video is from Tanglewood Apartments, where police found 28-year-old Vincent Jr. shot to death.
The other killing that night happened just down the road at a Chevron station where someone shot the cashier, Janek Patel.
Right now, Warner Robins police say they're working with area law enforcement agencies to find this man, Daniel Franz. Police Chief Brett Evans says they believe he's responsible for the homicide at the Tanglewood Apartments and possibly connected to the other shootings.
This is how Chief Evans described the connection between the crimes.
We have warrants for one individual for Tanglewood Apartments homicide. Is there a likelihood that he's also involved with the homicide down the road at the Chevron? Yes. Do we believe that the homicide from the Chevron and that suspect is related to Barbaritos? Based on physical descriptions, clothing, mannerisms, weapons, we believe the possibility exists that those are also related.
Chief Evans said Franz is a familiar face in Houston County law enforcement. According to Houston County jail records, he was booked 12 times in the past couple of years on charges like battery, theft by receiving, obstruction, an officer, and marijuana possession.
Also during today's news conference, Chief Evans called the crime spree unprecedented for Warner Robins.
This is a hugely significant event. This has impacted people in ways that other crimes have not impacted us before. It's not our first homicide, it won't be our last. You understand that. But the significance of having 3 homicides very close together in a short amount of time is significantly different for us.
The chief also said that a lot of manpower is being put into the search for Franz, most notably the U.S. Marshal Service and their fugitive task force.
A $20,000 reward is being offered for any information about Franz's whereabouts. Anyone with information can call Macon Regional Crime Stoppers at 1-877-68-CRIME. Once again, that's 1-877-68-CRIME.
Chief Evans said they've pulled in every resource they can get their hands on to help work the cases. That includes people and equipment such as a 3D scanner.
We're taking a closer look at how that can help police solve these crimes. The 3D scanner uses a rotating mirror and a laser to load images of a crime scene or accident into a computer or iPad. The laser is projected off the mirror into the scene, capturing millions of data points in minutes.
Software uses the data to recreate the crime scene. Investigators can then go back and look at the crime scene days, weeks, even months later.
During the news conference, Mayor Randy Toms asked for City Council to consider measures to keep city employees safe.
And the mayor also asked for citizens to consider ways to keep themselves safe while police investigate.
I am considering asking council to withdraw the ban on city employees carrying weapons in city buildings and in city vehicles. We will not stand and be innocently taken advantage of by people who are criminal-minded. I would encourage more citizens to make the effort to receive a carry permit and take any available safety classes on carrying and using weapons.
Now, if you want more information on signing up for a firearm safety course like the mayor was talking about, you can look for this story on our website at 13wmaz.com.
While police search for clues in these cases, the family of 23-year-old Parker Moore is grieving his death. Moore was killed Sunday at Barbaritos, where another employee, a 21-year-old, was also shot and is now recovering after a gunshot wound to the head.
Jacob Reynolds talked with members of Moore's family today about the kind of person he was and what they'll remember. He joins us live.
We spoke to Parker's dad, Andy, and his sister, Hannah. They tell us Parker was the typical American kid. He loved soccer and hiking and had a favorite music group, the XX. Hannah laughed when she said that, saying he had a tattoo of the band and often tried to get her to listen. Andy told us his son moved to Warner Robins last March to get back on his feet and save money, living with his mom and stepdad. In fact, Parker interviewed Sunday for a new job and had gotten his car fixed. And then he got called into work at Barbaritos, so his family sadly said that he wasn't even supposed to be here Sunday night, but they want people to remember Parker's smile and sense of humor.
He was crazy.
He
was funny.
He was hilarious. I think he gets it from Dad because Daddy's funny too, but he's always cutting up. He was always telling jokes.
Yeah, funny kid.
And they say that Parker loved people, and including his family especially, and they told me he never met a stranger. And Frank and Lori, I'll be honest, it wasn't an easy interview. They got emotional several times, and at the end of it, I asked them if they had anything to add, and Hannah told us that she's learned to just really treasure these moments with your families, and she urged everyone who sees this tonight to hug your families a little closer this evening. In Warner Robins, Jacob Reynolds, 13 WMAZ Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Jacob.
And the Moore family expressed support for law enforcement and said they find comfort in everything police are doing to find Parker's killer. Andy said he has no doubt they will find the person responsible.
Some people in Warner Robins plan to organize to fight the city's recent wave of violence. On social media, David Reed set up a February 5th event called Enough is Enough in Warner Robins.
Now, his post says the group wants to tell city leadership to crack down on crime. It says they're willing to pay higher taxes to boost police presence. Roderick Allen says he plans to meet with the group and that the recent homicides hit close to home.
Like the guy at the store that got murdered, I knew him personally. So that affects me. My cousin and I, we go to that store all the time. We talk to him, and it really bothered me. So when I saw that in the group, I was like, you know what? I just want to need 10 minutes to get up and say something and express my concerns and offer my help in the best way I can possible.
Now, the Enough is Enough event is planned for Monday, February 5th at 4 p.m. at Warner Robins City Hall.
Many of you have reached out to express your outrage about the recent crimes in Warner Robins. Let's take a look. Diane says she hopes the criminal is caught soon and thanks the law enforcement officers that are working this case and is praying for the victim of the Barbaritos shooting recovering in the hospital.
Kelly Pike says her thoughts are with the Moore family and she hopes the criminal is caught and brought to justice.
And Deborah said that someone has to know who is committing these crimes, and that is way too close to home.
If you'd like to share your thoughts, just find any of our stories about this on our Facebook page and leave a comment.
This case appears to be unrelated to those robberies and homicides. Warner Robins police are also investigating an overnight robbery at a Waffle House. Just after 3 this morning, officers responded to the restaurant on the 1200 block of Houston Lake Road.
Police says 3 men entered the restaurant and demanded money. The robbers then got away with some cash. 2 employees were unharmed and locked themselves in a bathroom until police arrived.
Anyone with information on this robbery can call Warner Robins police at 478-302-5380. That's 478-302-5380.
An 18-year-old dead after an argument in Dublin. It happened Monday afternoon on the corner of Academy Avenue and Dudley Street.
According to Dublin Police Chief Tim Chapman, 18-year-old Dalen Hall was shot in the upper torso. After officers performed CPR on Hall, he was rushed to Fairview Park Hospital. A few minutes later, officers saw 3 men walking from some woods.
They arrested 2 of them, brothers Willie Jackson and Sontavious Jackson. They're both charged with murder. The third person ran off, Keemon O'Neill.
One is too many. You know, our young people, they got to really start to think. You know, people there's value to life. And these young people are making a split decision that's going to affect them as well as their families and this community for a span of time.
This is the first homicide of the year in Dublin. Anyone with information on O'Neill's whereabouts can call the Dublin Police Department at 478-277-5023, 478-277-5023.
Investigators are now looking to find out who killed a Macon County woman and her son. Autopsies performed yesterday at GBI Crime Lab said the deaths of 77-year-old Ruth Bracknell and her son, 53-year-old Mark Abbott, were both homicides. That's according to GBI agent Terry Howard.
The 2 were found dead last Friday at a home on Erie Street in Oglethorpe, where they both lived. Howard would not discuss how the victims died or any other details about the case. He says anybody with information on the case can call the GBI's Americas office at 229-931-2439. That's 229-931-2439.
Well, I don't know about you, but ready for some better news. Sunshine is out there right now. It's a beautiful afternoon, and it's breezy. You notice a cool down as we go on into tonight. So let's bring it up. The 7-day is on the way in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Ben. It's good to have the whole family back together again.
Back together.
Finally. We'll see you later.
Okay.
Well, still to come on Eyewitness News at 5. We know there's been a lot of bad news to talk about lately. Up next, we take a look at some good things happening in the lives of our viewers.
And that includes this week's My Teacher is Top's winner. That's next.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Frank Malloy.
And I'm Lori Johnson. We'll have more on the mayor's budget in just a few moments. But first, it's National Teacher Appreciation Week. All week long, folks are honoring teachers for their daily commitment to our children.
The day was extra special for hundreds of Bibb County teachers. Yvonne Thomas explains why.
We have some scrambled eggs on the menu. We have hash brown casserole.
It's a hearty meal of thanks for teachers who give so much.
You always heard the old saying that food is a way to a person's heart. I think my teachers know that I give them all my heart because I know that this is a tough job.
Here at Central High School, a handmade breakfast is one of many ways Principal Emmanuel Frazier shares his gratitude.
We kind of feed off of each other's energy. Seeing my colleagues put so much work into giving the students their best every day inspires me to do the same.
But this isn't the only gift that teachers earn during National Teacher Appreciation Week.
Yes, we did achieve our pay for performance bonus, and I'm excited about that as well.
School spokesperson Stephanie Hartley says all Bibb school employees received a pay for performance bonus approved in the 2018 fiscal year budget.
Utilizing the professional learning that they have gotten and translating that in the classroom so that our reading scores continue to increase, our enrollment continues to increase, our attendance gets better, and our discipline gets better.
Hartley says for a year, teachers were monitored in several performance areas like attendance and classroom use of technology. Each employee will receive a 2% bonus based on their salary for meeting Bibb's district-wide performance goals in the classroom. But for teachers like Michael Scott, the bonus is just the tip of the iceberg.
But teaching is such a vital profession, so it's important that we keep good teachers and that we keep this profession going to continue to make things better in the world around us.
He says it's his students and staff that make his job worthwhile. In Macon, Yvonne Thomas, 13 WMAZ News.
Stephanie Hartley says the bonuses cost the district $2.7 million already set aside in this year's budget.
And it's important to note because the Bibb School District operates under a separate budget, these bonuses do not affect the county's budget deficit.
And on this National Teacher Day, many of you sent us pictures of your favorite teachers. Krista wants to honor Paula Spivey Oxshire from Quail Run Elementary in Warner Robins. Krista says Miss Oxshire taught both of her sons, and they love her.
Michaela Jones sent us this picture of Mr. Randy Thompson from Bleckley County High School. She says he always goes out of his way to help and is the best teacher and coach she's ever had.
Molly Bankston posted this picture of Mrs. Jadon from Eagle Springs Elementary in Byron, who was her son's favorite teacher.
And we want to see pictures of your favorite teachers on Facebook. Make sure you tell us where they teach and why they're your favorite.
You may just see those photos later today on 13 WMAZ.
Good morning, Miss Ashley. You're this week's My Teacher is Tops.
Mrs. Paula Ashley teaches 4th grade math, Southfield Elementary in Macon. Says math is her favorite subject, and she loves that she gets to teach it to her students.
She says seeing her students grasp the concept she's teaching is her favorite part of the job. Student Abigail Steedley wrote in about Miss Ashley, and this is why she thinks she is tops.
Got to 4th grade, I was intimidated, and I did not care for math, but Miss Ashley changed all of that, and I started to like math. I started to like math because Miss Ashley would challenge you to do your best.
And congratulations to Miss Ashley.
Math, that's a tough subject.
It is.
I know, with summer approaching, we're not asking for any more letters, so if you want to honor your favorite teacher, just hold on to the letter. And, of course, we'll be back with this segment in August. Still a couple more weeks left this year.
Bibb County property owners could see an even bigger property tax increase this year than last year. Today, Mayor Robert Rickard presented his proposed budget for next year, including a $3.7 million increase. In the 13 WMAZ poll, we want to know if you think consolidation is working. Just open the 13 WMAZ app or go to 13WMAZ.com/vote and let us know if you think it is, if it's not, or if it's too soon to say. Mary Grace Shaw was at today's meeting and has more details on what this means for you, the taxpayer.
Lori, I talked to several Bibb County homeowners at the meeting who all said the same thing. Last year it was a $3 million increase, this year $3.7. Now they all want to know why this is happening and when it'll end. If Rickard made no changes to next year's budget, the county would drain their savings in just a few months. Rickard says a lot of this shortfall is due to a $5 million increase in this year's health care. So to prevent the deficit, he says he wants to cut spending to outside agencies, have 3 employee furlough days, look at pension and health care changes, and raise property taxes.
For a community of our size to have a fund balance or a reserve of only $4 million is literally one tornado away from having a negative fund balance. Must be changed.
The budget can't pass unless 6 commissioners vote in favor. They have until June 30th to do that. Lori, back to you.
Thank you, Mary Grace. The county will hold several budget hearings for the public leading up to the commission's vote. They have not set those dates yet. Coming up tonight on 13 WMAZ News at 11. 13 investigates if consolidation has worked, and we'll have the results of tonight's poll.
In the trial of Dakota White, one of the teens accused of killing Perry, 18-year-old Sam Poss, prosecutors played 2 taped interviews with White. In those interviews, White tells investigators what happened the night Sam Poss died. Jacob Reynolds joins us live from the Houston County Courthouse.
Well, the state played those 2 videos recorded on October 19th and October 20th of 2016, several days after Poss was first reported missing. And when they played those, the courtroom fell into absolute silence. In the first tape, White tells Perry police that Sam is dead. Later in the tape, White tells investigators that his friend Brandon Warren stabbed Poss 3 times. White also says he first held a wire around Poss's neck, and then when that wire broke, White used his arm. We're going to show you the first part of the tape when White tells investigators he knows what happened to Poss.
And I'm telling you, it's going to eat your soul. Sam's not alive. Where is Sam?
Now, White continued telling investigators in that first taped interview that he and Warren had a suicide pact and were going to take their own lives after killing someone else. And it was the playing of that video that appeared to have the most direct impact on Samuel Poss's family, who was sitting in front of us. Several of them became very emotional as that entire 40-minute video played. In Perry, Jacob Reynolds, 13 WMAZ News.
All right, thanks, Jacob. The trial is in recess till tomorrow morning when the state will continue its case against White.
New information tonight about the Macon woman hit and killed by a car early yesterday morning. Investigators say they took her to a hospital Sunday night, several hours before she died. Chelsea Bimeford joins us live from Vineville Avenue with the latest information on the case.
Yeah, Lori, this is the intersection where Teresa Reynolds was killed, but just hours before her death, investigators say a Bibb County deputy spotted her rolling around on the ground over on Harrison Road. Bibb County fatality investigator Corporal Justin Croggy says when that deputy spotted Reynolds, she was acting erratically and may have been impaired or intoxicated. So that deputy called an ambulance. Reynolds was taken to the medical center in Avison Health, and investigators think she was released around 11:30 Sunday night. Then she walked up to this area of Vineville and Forest Avenue. Croggy says it appears Reynolds was lying or rolling around in the street again when a motorist struck her just after midnight Monday morning. He thinks that driver may have thought that they ran over debris.
Given those circumstances, most likely there will not be charges filed. If something more comes, then something more comes. But as of right now, our office is believing that this probably was just an accident.
I did speak to Reynolds' brother-in-law on the phone, who says this is a tragic situation and his family hopes that that driver is located. In Macon, Chelsea Bimeford, 13 WMAZ News.
Thank you, Chelsea. If you have any information on this case, you can call the Bibb County Sheriff's Office at 478-751-7500. That's 478-751-7500.
Well, another warm day out there. Clouds kind of rolling around with the heat of the day, so it's kind of got the summertime thing going where a few things are popping up as we go through the coming hour or so. So right where the models were showing it today, a little bit of action popping up. All righty.
Oh, man, it's unbelievable what Mother Nature can do. It's just, you just can't explain it, man.
Flipping through pictures from the Mother's Day tornadoes, business owner Freddie Stevens is amazed to see how far they've come. Tomorrow on 13 WMAZ News at 5, we'll take you back to see just how bad the damage was across Bibb County and how the community was able to get back on their feet by lending a helping hand. It is hard to believe that has been 10 years since the Mother's Day tornadoes. May 11th will be, but we're going to be talking a lot about this tomorrow, guys.
Okay, thank you, Ben. We'll see you later.
Okay.
Well, still to come on 13 WMAZ News at 5.
President Trump pulls out of the Iran nuclear agreement. I'm Mo Lulengi at the White House with what might be next.
Mixed bag there.
There you go.
All right, next on 13 WMAZ News at 5.
Have you recently changed jobs and wondering what to do with your 401k? Financial expert Sherry Goss has your answer next.
And next on 13 WMAZ News at 5, a bus full of bees? Not normally a good thing, but then again, maybe it is. We'll tell you how it's helping produce honey year-round when we come back. Still to come on Eyewitness News at 5.
All right, tomorrow, Groundhog Day. Will he or won't he see his shadow? After the break, Hunter Williams takes a look at how reliable our furry friend really is. Stay with us. After the break on Eyewitness News 5, the Super Bowl is not the only event happening this weekend. We're going to check in with Charles Davis and Anthony Ennis to see what else is going on in the latest edition of Scene 13 with the Creep. That's next. After the break on Eyewitness News at 5. The Super Bowl, just about 49 hours away and counting, and we're taking a look at how people are having super fun in Minnesota despite the frigid temperatures. Stay with us.
And still to come on Eyewitness News at 5.
Faith and family. Those two things always come before football. That's according to UGA quarterback Jake Fromm's mom. Hear what the family has to say about Jake's historic season between the hedges next. After the break on Eyewitness News at 5.
A Macon team heading to state will meet the Robo Huskies and learn how they took down the robotics competition. And still to come on Eyewitness News at 5.
For children, it may seem hard to help the homeless, but we're going to show you just how easy it can be. That's after the break.
Still to come on Eyewitness News at 5.
A Milledgeville man has a special inspiration for restoring a bike trail in his hometown. How he hopes the new trails will help kids in the area. Next.
And still to come on Eyewitness News at 5.
You see them on the sidelines of every football and basketball game at Mercer. We're talking about the cheerleaders. See how some new faces will soon join them. That's next. After the break on Eyewitness News at 5, a person dead after a train carrying Republican Congress members collides with a garbage truck. How some lawmakers jumped into action. That's next.
And still to come on Eyewitness News at 5, the biggest football game of the year. Georgia, Alabama's already been played. Oh, that's right. It's the Super Bowl. A few days away. We take a look at the final preparations in Minneapolis when we come back.
Coming up next on Eyewitness News at 5.
After a shooting in a South Florida school killed 17 people, Florida legislators debate stricter gun laws. The changes they're looking at when we come back.
And still to come on Eyewitness News at 5, visitors to Peach County could soon have a new place to lay their heads down at night. Take a look at a new hotel coming to the downtown area in the valley when we come back.
After the break on Eyewitness News at 5.
After students were out of school for 9 days, a teacher strike in West Virginia finally ends. We'll show you how a deal was reached.
Coming up next on Eyewitness News at 5.
It'll feel like a day at the beach at one Central Georgia church this weekend. We'll tell you how it'll help children with special needs as Eyewitness News at 5 continues.
Next on 13 WMAZ News at 5, one group decided to give some cancer patients a day at the spa. How it came straight from the heart. After the break.
And still to come on 13 WMAZ News at 5.
May is Historical Preservation Month. Learn how the city of Perry is showing off its history and how you can jump back in time.
Next on 13 WMAZ News at 5.
Meghan Markle and Prince Harry just days away from tying the knot. We're going to take a peek at how one Central Georgia shop is getting ready for the royal wedding. That's after the break.